This next guy coming up, he's probably not going to brag on all of his stuff, but I had an interview with him on the phone, and I'm just going to tell you, this guy was with the DOD. Are you still with the DOD? Okay, she's going to give some of that. But he has served our country, and he is helping kids and people, women, and all kinds of men to know how to, protect themselves. The judge and Jack have to leave here in a minute, so y'all can just excuse yourself whenever. And so, Stephen, you ready to come? All right.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Kathy. So, hello out there. Hello, Internet. My name is Stephen Winton. I am a retired FMF corpsman with the United States Marine Corps. Basically, that's combat medic in layman's terms. I have been deployed multiple times, more times than I can count. And some of those deployments included Central America, South America, many places in lower southeastern Asia, and Pacific Islands, Philippines, a lot of crazy places, a lot of places where there's a lot of darkness. Normally, I like to be the guy that comes with all the good news and the fun. Currently I'm an active team member of a SWAT team, and we have done numerous raids with TBI, in conjunction with TBI, and various other things. So that's my intro, if you will. I have seen this topic that I'm about to talk to you about. Now, this is parents here locally. This is your teens here locally. These are everybody that's out there amongst the interwebs. And the topic is not a good one, but we have to discuss it. And that is the topic of trafficking, in particular, sex trafficking. Now, that being the topic, with a quick raise of hands, like how many of you folks think that where we live now is a statistically high or hot spot for sex trafficking? Okay, got like 3 hands. All right, good. You 3 can leave. All right, the rest of you, I want to have your attention. I'm going to sanitize a lot of this conversation because we do have itty-bitty little tiny ears in here, okay? But statistically, in 2013, there was a TBI, statistics panel that came together and accrued information. This is old data, but it's still good, and said that Coffee County was amongst the 4 top counties for sex trafficking, with, of course, the top 3 being, well, you would expect, Memphis, Knoxville, Nashville, with us coming in number 4. There's some questions. There was investigations that were done, and there was interviews that were done, and it's all unclassified. It's all on the internet. You can read it. And there was some conversations about, well, a lot of these people aren't our people. They're people that are brought here from other places, being sold on Craigslist, being sold on Backpage, being sold on various other things. Okay, that's great. And it's sure, but it's still a statistic. It's still a fact. Those things are still happening. So hopefully I got your attention. What makes this area so particularly interesting? Why is this a possible fertile ground for that type of activity? Well, one, where is the sex trafficking capital of the South? Good old Atlanta. Hot spot. All right? What's in between Nashville? Because that's another hot spot. Here we are. We have everything it takes. We got plenty of motels. We got truck stops. We got meth. Got lots of meth. So you combine all those together and you start to have problems. One of the things that I did a year ago is I came up with a business called Castle Tactical Medical Training Group. As a medical professional of over 20 years in the armed services, and as a member of a SWAT team for 4 years now, as an operator and also as the lead medic, I said, you know what, it's time to monetize the skills that the DOD and the law enforcement have taught me over the years. So I started teaching medical classes, and I still do. We teach basic stuff, basic provider level BLS, best CPR class in town, all the way up to tactical, active shooter, all kinds of stuff. You name it, we can pretty much teach it. But then, if you guys remember last year, what happened in Memphis? Little girl just went running, went jogging. We all know what ended up happening. It was horrible. So I said, you know what, I've taken martial arts for 23 years now, been a martial arts instructor in many different levels and stuff like that. Why not turn this into something that can be given to people to empower them? And that's exactly what we embarked on. So we now offer classes that are specifically created and intertwined for rape prevention. I know women's self-defense is a normal nomenclature that's very nice, but these are for rape prevention classes. My daughters go, my wife goes, I encourage everybody to go. But, so that's the area that we live in. Maybe you out there on the internet, maybe you're in a hot spot too. Maybe there's some things that you need to consider. Maybe there's some vulnerabilities that you need to question about yourself and about your surroundings. So how does this all happen? How does a woman, how does a little girl get kidnapped or turned in or coerced into doing things that they don't want to go or to do? Well, the key term there is kind of how I said it. I said, how does a woman and how does a little girl? But stop your mind, because I'll tell you right now, most of the sex trafficking out there is stuff that you don't know about. It's boys. It's men. 1 in 9 girls will have some form of sexual criminality done to them before they're the age of 18. Now, the statistic is 1 in 53 boys. But this is what we're finding in our case studies. Men aren't going to say anything. Boys will never tell you. And we'll get to that in a second. So what are some of the methods? Well, clearly, the first one's violence, right? You're walking down the sidewalk, you're on your phone, you're simultaneously functioning YouTube, Facebook, Snapchat, and Instagram, all with one finger. Boom, downloaded everything. And you don't realize that there's a Toyota 4Runner that the back hatch just lifts up on as you walk by. There it is. You're pushed in, it's shut, you're gone. The chances of you surviving a kidnapping once you get into the vehicle is 1%. That's it, 1%. I don't want to give too much information because we could stay here all night long. I got 20 minutes. But if that person is violently attacking you, you fight with everything that you have. Clearly, it's better to learn things to make you more lethal, but you fight with everything that you have. Even though they say that they will hurt you if you fight anyway, because they're going to kill you. Just a fact. Statistically, FBI, TBI, information's out there. So there's violence. I know women who have been sexually trafficked. We have them in our classes. I've met them. I've seen them. I've seen this stuff firsthand. I know women that have been targeted. I have spoke to them. They have talked to me about being at Walmart, and things almost went down. But bystanders and intervention happened by the grace of God. Okay? And let's not forget, what does the Bible even say about kidnapping? Deuteronomy 24, Exodus 21, pretty much says we're supposed to get rid of these guys. Okay? So the first thing is violence. Now, the second thing are lies. Lies, befriendment, romance. Little girls and little boys will be told that they can have certain things and do certain things, so they can be coerced into meeting in new locations. Or maybe individuals will start giving your children things, and you'll start to notice, hey, where'd you get that at? Where'd you get this iPhone at? Where'd you get those? Why you got your nails done? Where'd you get those shoes at, dude? Like all these things. And the next thing you know, this person, the trafficker or the pimp, will start to demand things in return for those gifts. And it's a slippery slope. These are some of the finest manipulators that Satan can produce. Okay? And one of the biggest ones that we see now is the deception that happens online. Okay? Definitely want to let you know about the online situation, because everybody knows about the word catfish and so forth and so on. Porn is one of the biggest industries in America, next to pharma. It's huge. If you're watching porn, you're part of the problem, by the way. You're feeling the fire. So, girls and boys will get on the internet, and yes, they do act goofy. It happens. You know, they start changing pictures back and forth. Okay. Well, somebody can take those and use those to blackmail the kids. Okay? Or even take pictures of you and Photoshop it to a naked body. And even though that's not really you, all right? Some of you may be like, I kind of wish it was. It's, you know, looks like I've been working out. No, they'll take it and they will promulgate it out for money, for whatever. People will talk to your kids and they will take simple information off the internet and make them feel like their family is in danger. And if they say anything, we'll hurt your little brother, we'll hurt your dog, we'll hurt this and this. I mean, it's ruthless out there. The black web is bad. One of the things that happened to me over my 20-year career is we had to do funerals. And I had to deliver messages to people to give them the worst day of their life. And they always told us that everybody that ever saw us, later on, if you ever see them again, they'll hate you. And it's not that they hate you as a person, they hate the memory that you brought them. Normally, I'm a very nice person, I'm very happy, but I know that the information I'm telling you is going to make my face kind of like a nasty penny. But this is good stuff and we need to hear it. They can take your images, they can take the pictures that you put of your children on the internet, and they can use them for whatever. You have got to start to not only monitor your own stuff, but you have got to become intrinsically and grossly involved in your kid's life. In the military, we call it intrusive leadership. All right? Limiting exposure, parental controls, screen times. When there's online communication, it needs to be in a common place. So, I mean, whatever. You know? Watching your kids like a ninja. 360 life, whatever. Getting to know their friends. Everything. Teaching them how to fight. That's important. Not just teach them how to fight, but also teach them what to look for, because your sharpest weapon, you have two sharp weapons in your toolbox. One's your brain. That's a sharp weapon. And the second, the best martial art move in the entire world is run away. And that's really what we focus on these classes, is making sure, because look, 12-year-old's going to punch me, it's not going to hurt me. A woman's going to kick me wherever, it's not going to do anything. So we focus on the moves that actually really work so that you can get away. It's not about having a fight. Now, when we talk about screening our vulnerabilities, we start looking at, like, is my child pulling away? Is my, do they have new friends that they've never had before? Are they wanting to do a lot of weird things? If something's happened, kids will oftentimes take a lot of showers too. It's just a mental, kind of like a pacifying process. So, moving on, watching your kids is super important. Teaching them how to fight, also important. Teach them how to get away. But finally, and most importantly, is communication. Communication is probably the one thing that every adult in here could work on, including myself, 100%. And what I mean by communication is keep yourself in such a manner that if your children ever have even the smallest molecule of desire to communicate with you, they know that it's safe to do so. In a nutshell, basically, I love you no matter what happened. I love you no matter what happens. I love you no matter what. You can tell me absolutely anything. Anything. And when we talk about communication, you got to be honest with yourself. When you start talking about sex, it needs to happen early. Because if you don't, porn's going to teach them. Promise. And they're going to see stuff on there that they're not going to come and talk to you about because they think that you're too sanctimonious for that to be brought into your synagogue of thought. Enough with that garbage. Start teaching your kids to talk to you. Don't use goofy little names for body parts and stuff like that. Cut to the chase. This is that, this is that, this is that. So that they can come to you and they know that it's open if anybody ever touches them. Or even talks to them in a way that you think might be alarming. Let them know open communication is a real deal. And there's no secrets. Now, there's surprises. There's a difference between surprises and secrets. You know, hey, don't tell your dad that we bought this for his birthday because it's a surprise. That's not a secret. Because if you start to talk about that there are secrets and stuff like that, then people, when they meet other strangers, they will, if they value your ability to keep a secret, then they'll start to value the stranger's ability to keep a secret. And we don't want that. We want an open receipt, constantly flowing. No secret. And finally, boundaries. One of the things that we teach in this class is boundaries. Just one quick example, you know, the goofy tickling and stuff like that. You know, the kid doesn't want to be tickled. I mean, who in here likes to be tickled? Nobody. All right? The only person that likes to be tickled is the person that's tickling you. Okay? They enjoy seeing you in pain. But some people use it as this weird, grotesque opportunity, you know? You create a boundary and you create a line in the sand and you say, hey, look, that's enough. That's it. That's your boundary. That's your kid's boundary. So you know that when they cross that they have ill intent. Because, you know, if they're just joking around and stuff like that, they'll take the boundary and they'll respect it. They'll be like, oh, hey, I'm sorry. My bad. All right? But if they're not, they're going to keep pressing forward. And you're like, okay, I've identified. I see the tail of the wolf sticking out of the wool. Boom. Money. So just things like that. Being open, being honest, communication, teaching your kids, giving your kids the tools that they need to survive, because everything we're talking about is extremely difficult to get out of once you're in, but there are options. So again, to talk about some options in closure, I have myself, Stephen Winton. You can find me on Facebook, Castle Tactical Medical Group, or you can just holler at me after class and I'll give you my information. Also, it's Stephen with a V, Winton, #1 @gmail.com. You can hit me up. We have an array of classes and communication and information, or if you just want to talk to me, you can just talk to me. Also, one of y'all's very own here at the church, Misty and Tim Garrett, Tim TWMA. Right, they have a good martial arts programs with Krav Maga, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which I'm a big fan of, love it. They also have a bully-proof program, which is amazing. Online, you can start to look up Women's Empowered by Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, all right? It's a course, it's a great course, Women's Empowered. That's the very course that we teach at Castle Tactical. It's about 63 different moves, some of the statistically the highest moves that are done against a woman. So once again, that's the course that we're teaching lifetime. However, you can segue or you can glance into it online and see if it'd be something you'd be interested in, which you should be. Also, you have the Coffee County Children's Advocacy Center, inslaverytennessee.org, Tennessee Human Trafficking Hotline, which is it's online, but I'll say the number just for anybody that doesn't want to look. It's 1-855-55-TNHTH. And those are some great options and great assets for you guys to look into. Anyway, I'll conclude. If anybody has any more comments or whatever, just hit me up after the presentations. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. I know that was intense, but I asked Stephen to do that because if you'll notice my shirt, God's children ain't for sale, right? I mean, that's from the movie. So I'm going to talk a little bit about something, and I just want to tell you about an experiment. I call it an experiment, EGG, experiment. And there was a chicken named Tulip. And Tulip had been bullied by all the other chickens, and she was in great distress. And this is a real chicken. This is not a story. And she was in great distress. She was losing tail feathers. She was isolated. The other chickens had decided to be bullies, and Tulip had to be isolated or they were going to kill her. And she stopped laying eggs, and she was no longer thriving. So I heard about this because her owner was a little girl named Molly, and she was only about 10, I think, at the time, and she had all these chickens, and she didn't know what to do. I said, I think that there's something we can do to help Tulip feel better and also lay eggs. So what we did was we made an experiment. So we had a hypothesis. Does it matter how we speak over our children, whether blessings or curses? Can it be studied? And can we see a shift if we begin to speak differently? So let me show you a picture of Tulip. There's Tulip. She had to be isolated and put in a cage. Look at that poor little chicken. She was really sad. And her owner, Molly, I asked her, I gave her a little prayer, a little blessing, and I said, I want you every day to read this blessing over Tulip. And so it says, don't go to the next one yet, you let the surprise out. Oh, Jerusalem, how often I wanted to gather your children together the way a hen gathers her chicks under her wings. And that's found in Luke 13:34. And this is the little blessing. Hello, little chickadee, let me pass a blessing unto thee. When Jesus walked upon the earth, he thought of you and your humble girth. He compared your love for your chicks to his chosen few that he wanted their hearts to fix. Please know that you are well thought of and loved from the heart and from our heart and heaven above. Now raise your head high and do as you were called to do. Praise the Lord with all your might, his glory to pursue. She did this for 7 weeks. After 7 weeks, she met me at church, and Tulip had laid one little bitty egg. And because she had had this blessing, she was able to go back into the population. Now, she was isolated. The other chickens were not getting this blessing. Only Tulip was getting this blessing. She was so excited, and what it had done, it had made a bond between her and those chickens and my Hannah. And I even gave her a little book of how to speak chicken with a little clicker thing, and she was learning how to speak chicken. So you can go to the next slide, Kay. Yep, that was Hannah. That was the first little egg. And we were really excited, even though it was really small. You can go to the next one. You see the difference? The other hens were just mean to Tulip because kind of like Hannah in the Bible. Remember, she was barren, so all the other women were mean to her. But Tulip was still hanging in there. Go ahead. We have to look at our chickadees very early on in the face, in the eyes, and pass our blessings on to them. Let them see us, see them, and know that we are in their corner and that we are passing blessings on to her and on to our children. Go to the next one. Let them be in the things that we're pursuing. This was a podcast that Todd was doing, and Hannah was right there with him. Hannah has been at every Hope event. She's been the person doing the Facebook. She's done some advertising and things like that, and she's going to be singing here in a little bit. Next slide. Sometimes you men need to be the protector again. You need to be the mob boss of your family, just like Stephen just talked about. You know, I think, Stephen, tell me if this is true, but are predators looking for fatherless children more than anything?
So statistically, they're looking for runaways, homeless, and that doesn't take away, the warning, but 15 and a half is statistically the age that they are procured, groomed, and coerced.
All right, so listen, daddies have got to take their place. They've got to take their place as strong contenders with any enemy that would come up against their children. And daddies, that means you cannot participate in pornography. If you participate in pornography, you are guilty of meeting someone in a hotel. It is the same thing. Your body may not be there, but your body functions are there. All right, go to the next one. We need to be stupid and silly with our kids. This was Hannah wanted me to put hair extensions in with color, and then she photobombed me. Don't worry about being silly with your kids. Let them see you laugh. I heard somebody one day, they said, the one thing I haven't been able to do is laugh and dance with my kids because she had an abusive husband. And I want your kids to see you laugh and be free. That is the one thing that you can do to help them be free. And the next one. Your kids need to learn how to be still. That is important. They need to have contemplation time, and not with a device all the time. They need to be able to look out in the world and dream and think about what is it I want to be and I want to do. But I want you to know the greatest thing that you can do actually is to introduce your children to Jesus Christ. The best way you can do that is to be a Christian that walks it out. One thing, my husband, he lets Hannah catch him reading the Bible every day. And identity right now is a big deal. There are children out there that have no idea what their identity is. They are struggling with their identity. But if we don't know as parents who our identity is, we can't give it to them.